So basically, my book, Childhood Autism, Insights into Their Mysterious World, I wanted to share like my journey of about what the experiences I experienced in the school boards and like outside of the school boards, and over 25 years experience of like, it's not just working with them at the academic level, they have a connection to the spiritual level too. And they're very open psychically. And I connect with them on all these different levels, like on the psychic level. And, it's like opening, it's about the spirit. It's about like working. I did self-regulation with them. I taught Reiki with them. My book's about the experiences over the 25 years. I did taught last couple of years. I did quite a few Reiki classes with children on the autism spectrum. That was just amazing how open they are and receptive. So it's talking about all the experiences and what worked for me over the 25 years, and then sharing that in as a journey in the book, and then also talking about like the Reiki and spirituality and how all these things tie together. Yeah.
Great. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. It's so great to have everyone back again. Another amazing guest on the show, and I'm excited to have her on to join us. We're talking about her journey as an author. She has some great stories. She's been working with some kids for a long time, and she's going to get into a little bit about that with us. I'm excited. And she's got lots of news around her journey as an author. So we're going to catch up on all that. Cress, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. When you came on the camera today, big smile, and you're so happy. And that makes me happy when somebody's happy. So it's great to have you here. Can you tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours?
We're actually in West Vancouver in BC. And that's like, it's really nice out here. Like, we're just renting a big place, and we're in the basement suite, and it's like the weather's been really nice for the last 2 weeks, so it's been really great. Like, when it rains, it was raining.
Good.
BC, right? Vancouver.
Yes, that's excellent. It's a beautiful place in this world, and I was there once, and I didn't want to come back to Ontario because I wanted to stay there because it's so nice. People are so nice as well. It's great. Excellent. Tell us a little bit about your writing career and you being an author. When did all of this start for you?
I started writing in about 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, and I hand wrote everything. The way I like to do it is when I'm writing, I wrote notes in my journals and things, and then I had like years of like back journals I'd fill out, and I'd never used the computer because I found that for me, the creative process is better if I just could write it down. So I'd like write all my ideas down for years, and then I'd have all my notes, and then I'd type up the book. Like, it was a process for me. First, I'd have the ideas and then type it up on the computer, and then, So it's been a step-by-step journey for me.
Who is one of your early inspirations? Who did you like to read? Who was there as an author that you looked to and said, I like how they write?
Yeah, I'm from England, so I grew up on Charles Dickens and all the famous ones, Shakespeare, and because that's what, like, literature is the big thing in England, right? There's like, you had to read everything, all the classicals, and Midsummer Night's Dream was really favorite of mine, and my full name is Cressida. That was Troilus and Cressida is also a Shakespeare book.
Yes.
So I've always been fond of reading, and I've always been fond of English and literature, and in England there was a different emphasis on it. It's like it was more accepted and more encouraged there than I found over in the school boards here. Like, not so much emphasis was placed on like the nitty gritty of like handwriting, and it's changed over the years, and like for me it was important to be able to have the skills of like to read and write, and do things that really fill me up. Mm-hmm.
So you also, on top of writing, you have worked with some very special kids over the years.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, because I'm a certified Bodytalk Practioner, certified Reiki Master Teacher. And so basically, I've been working with special needs children for 25 years as an education assistant. And so I do like working with groups in the school boards and self-regulation and like meditation and mindfulness and things like that. And I was trained up in Vancouver School Board, like in mindfulness and Mindup Mindfulness. So, I really enjoyed all the experiences in the school boards of like being able to share my skills and work with children on different levels. For me, it wasn't just about doing the academic work with them. It was like working with them, connecting with them on the energy level too.
So why is that so important for you?
Because I think that, and I've had comments made to me in the school boards before, especially Vancouver School Board. It's like, because like behavior consultants, top people come in and they'd see me come in there. And then they'll say, why is it when you're in there that children and students' behavior would change without me even saying anything, right? And yeah, so basically what it was, it's like, we're all very sensitive beings, right? We're all made of energy. And what basically happened was, because I'd been doing Reiki for 25 years, I teach it too, and they could feel my energy. And even though I wouldn't say anything, the presence of you being there can self-regulate other children and other staff and things like that. So sometimes even, like I've had 25 years of working with severe violent behaviors, and I know I've had a lot of training, like therapeutic crisis intervention and Yukuru training and all that training too. But sometimes that doesn't even cut it. Like you cannot even go near some of those kiddies sometimes. So I was so grateful for the skills I've learned to be able to sort of co-regulate students when they weren't able to, like the most severe violent ones, because that's what it's about, right? Because, I truly believe that students and children are bad. It's just, they're just acting out on behaviors, other people, right? Other people's energy.
Yeah, I do. I think that it's hard for children to explain how they're feeling as well, right? And they don't understand.
Yeah.
And just the pressures the kids are facing today are so unique compared to even when you and I were young. It's a totally different world today, right?
It is a totally different world, yeah. Like when I was at school, we didn't have all these designations. I didn't know anyone with, and we probably all had things, but nobody was ever diagnosed with like autism and ADHD and like severe violent behaviors, like, and people with mental health issues, and I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And you know what I feel though? I think there were those things, but it was very hush-hush and not talked about, especially in England, right?
Well, yeah, even here in Canada, I would say the same thing. It's growing up, I don't think I've ever heard any of those things ever mentioned before in school.
No.
But I know I've had people in my life that have struggled, and people just thought they were different or special, or, they would put them in their own little class because they didn't know what to do with these people. But they just they're looking for help. They're looking for people like you who could reach into their life and help them, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really grateful that I had the 25 years experience of being able to connect with them, and really, I learned a lot of the skills around, for me, the connection was really important, and the relationships with them, and because unless you've got a relation with them on this fundamental level, you can't work with a severe violent behavior thrown the table at you, because they will just play off the energy and you'll get into a power struggle with them. So it's I'm really grateful for all the skills I learned, because I was able to go into a situation, diffuse it without even with the Reiki and having all the other things too, without even having to okay, just take a few deep breaths in and out, and I can stand outside and just help them to self-regulate with that and do mindfulness breathing.
Those are all things that don't come naturally to people, to discover on your own, maybe, that you do need help. You need somebody to show you how to do this properly, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how does this all fit into your journey as an author?
So basically, my book, Childhood Autism, Insights into Their Mysterious World, I wanted to share my journey about what the experiences I experienced in the school boards and outside of the school boards, and over 25 years experience of it's not just working with them at the academic level. They have a connection to the spiritual level too. And they're very open psychically. And I connect with them on all these different levels, like on the psychic level. And, it's like opening, it's about the spirit. It's about like working. I did self-regulation with them. I taught Reiki with them. My book's about the experiences over the 25 years. I did, toward the last couple of years, I did quite a few Reiki classes with children on the autism spectrum. That was just amazing how open they are and receptive. So it's talking about all the experiences and what worked for me over the 25 years, and then sharing that in as a journey in the book, and then also talking about like the Reiki and spirituality and how all these things tie together. Okay. Yeah.
Have you been writing before your book? Have you been doing other things, or is this really your first real focus project?
I've always loved writing. As a child, my dad was a writer, and then my elder brother's a writer too.
Good. So it's in the family. Yes.
Yeah.
It's good.
But he's just like, and my younger brother's like an engineer, so like we all, like my mum's side, they're all engineers. So it's just, I always loved writing, even as a child, writing and drama, and I studied drama too. And so it's like these things are all related.
So how will your book help with parents or teachers working with children with autism? How will your book help us?
So basically what it does, I go through books I use. Like when I worked as an education assistant, different school boards, I worked a lot with the book called, what was my book? I worked with different books on self-regulation and like sharing tips and techniques and how I got groups to calm down and how breathing, then I go into mindfulness techniques I taught because I studied Mindup in Vancouver School Board. So in 2014, and through that, I was able to go into classrooms and teach students how to self-regulate themselves through breathing and mindfulness and meditation and sort of visualizing and calming. And so each chapter talks about different things I've done in the school boards, and it also lists like books that I used as well, and apps, and OT things I had to learn, and all these different techniques and things that work for me.
Okay, is there an age range for the children that you're talking about in your book? Okay.
No, I basically I worked with like babies before on the autism spectrum all the way through to like 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
So these things we're going to read in your book have been put in place and you've actually used them with students. So you've already tested these things as well.
Yeah. 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 There was a book, Zones of Regulation, I used over the years, and that was really successful about integrating like how to apply the lessons in the classroom. That often the teacher would work on like different practice around that, how to self-regulate and what zone you're in, and being able to sort of ultimately like with working with students on who are special needs and with autism and severe violent behaviors, it's being able to get them to recognize themselves. That's the ultimate thing, is to be able to self-regulate themselves, say, oh, right now I feel angry, and being able to feel like they go into a red zone. Okay, what is it you can do to help yourself get back into the green zone, the calmer zone? And so it's like a self-empowerment too for them too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you had an ideal person that would be perfect for this book, would it be a parent then, or a teacher? Like, who is it really directed towards?
It's towards parents, teachers, students who can read books like that age, everyone.
Okay. Is it meant to be more of a handbook then for us to use? We can use it right away? Yeah.
Yeah, you could look at it as like a reference book and sort of look through it and like, okay, and it's opening up to your different understanding too. It's going from a spiritual perspective as well.
So talk more about that. How does that find its way into your book?
How does it find its way?
More of the spiritual side as well.
Yeah, because for me, I started studying, that's very important to me. I started studying Reiki level 1 in 1994, and then in 1999, I became a Reiki Master Teacher. So over the years, and Reiki is like, do you know what
Yes,
Reiki
yeah.
is?
I've had authors on and
Yeah,
talked about this before. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like being able to connect to the universal life force energy, and that is sort of living it and breathing that way, and just connecting to your spirituality. And so ever since I started in 1994 learning Reiki level 1, that became a really important part of my life. And so I meditate every day, and I find that's very important for me, whatever I do in my life, that aspect of like being able to integrate that. And so that's why the spiritual side to me and connecting to the spiritual side for me through Reiki, doing self-regulation groups, teaching Reiki classes to them, I'd often do, I've done some workshops too with the students where I've gone into the school and I work with crystals and, healing crystals and connecting them to their own body and help them to ground the energy. So, so it's just very important for me, my spiritual aspect, because I was brought up a Christian for 16 years. I mean, I don't go to church anymore, but I was Church of England for 16 years when I was in England. So I've always had that sort of spiritual background, religious background, but I'm not going to church right now. But from that stemmed this connection to my own spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
And I get the sense from you that serving people with what you have is really important to you. Right.
Yeah.
It's not something you have for yourself, and it's just for you. You want to help people, and you want to display and show people how to use this as well.
Yeah, exactly what it is. Okay. Yeah.
In the process of writing the book, how have you changed as a person? Like, you start writing the book and you go through the process. I'm sure that from the time you started writing to the time that the book was ready, you've changed in the process. How did you grow as an author writing the book?
I think what it was, I mean, I'm still learning, right? You never stop learning. For me, it made me a deeper appreciation of the English language and grammar, and when you're working with the editors, and like, because I did self-publishing, that was part of this thing, was for me that I wanted to do self-publishing so I could be on that journey and not just going to like a publishing house, because for me I was able to involve myself in the whole journey. Like I found all the editors on Fiverr, and then I worked with editors in England, and then I'd send it back, and then I'd do the formatting. And so it was like, over the years, it was like being able to it was a real growth for me in myself, and like I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot about like writing. I love writing. I love the language, and I love it's actually I'm really grateful for the path I've taken as an author, and like I'm always learning. Yeah. For me, it's really important to keep learning, and so I'm always studying, like taking courses on language and like still learning things. Yeah.
Okay. So when you write a book, sometimes that leads to wanting to write more books and continue writing.
That's exactly.
So is that what's happening for you?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. So what's coming down the road for you as an author?
I think I'd like to write more like mindfulness and meditation books.
Yeah.
Sort of off. Yeah, like along those lines, because people have asked me about that. It's like, could you do more of this? And I really think that there's a need for that too. Yeah.
Because when I talk to you, what I envision for you in our conversations is I can see you writing a children's book that talks about these things for more of a younger audience, so that they can understand how to self-regulate, all the things we're talking about, but in their terms, so they understand with a story or something. I just see something like that for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I feel that would be the next step for me too. Yeah.
With all of your background, right? Yeah. And
I had the ECE Infant toddler, and so I have all the training of young children too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that would That feels right.
Yeah, you spent so much time with children over the years. I just think there's something gentle about you that I think would come out in a book. I think that would be great for parents to have that as a resource.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It's exciting.
That's what my husband said too. You got to do a children's book now.
We're giving you homework now. We're giving the teacher homework. I love this. I love it. It's great. So is there anything you could do to help parents who have autism in their home? One of my nieces has autism, and as an uncle, I know I want to be a better uncle for her and helping her in her journey. But is there anything you can offer up to parents when autism is in their home and they want to do their best for their children? Any life lessons that we can share with a parent to help and encourage them?
Yeah, you know what? What I learned was the connection to them and the relationship to them is so important. The finding out what they're passionate about. The reason I was able to get so close and have such a good relationship with those students is because I connected with them on their level. So sometimes I was working with a student and, it's like she was passionate about cats and dogs, and find out what they're passionate about. And then, because that's a real connection point for you. And then, sometimes I've worked with a student who had severe violent behaviors and things with autism. And then I'd ask them about, what are you passionate about? And I play with them and connect with them. And so they could, the connection to them is really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah. From what
and the relationship.
Yeah, from what I've seen.
Yeah, finding what they're passionate about.
What I've seen in some of the people I've talked to and some of the authors that have been on is that in some cases, for someone with autism, when they like something, they like it a lot. Like a lot. They know everything about the thing. So whether it's a movie like Star Wars, for example, they know every second of that movie. They can tell you every character, everything you want to know, and a whole bunch of stuff you would never want to know. They'll tell you everything. But it's just, they're so passionate about these things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So find out what they're passionate about, what you're saying, and then that's a doorway, right? Into their world, right?
It's doorway, yeah. Okay. Because one time I remember I was working with a student and she was passionate about cats. And we have cats as well. And then I'd take her out into the garden at the school. And, she loved flowers and plants. And I'd sit down with her and would make daisy chains outside. And just it's that connection, right? Because they're people forget that, when you're working with kiddies who have autism or severe violent behaviors, that they're still children inside. Right. And that you got to you have to really connect on a deep level with them and find their passion and just say, look, play with them. That's what I found really helps to be able to connect with them and play with them. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good learning right there for parents or uncles and aunts like myself. Yeah. Find that common ground and treat them they're kids, they're children, they're still learning.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still trying to figure out their own life as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. So what else are we going to find out in Child Autism, your book? Is there any other things? I'm kind of looking at your Amazon list as we talk today. I see
I talk about Reiki classes I taught to students with the autism, and I invited the parents there. That was amazing. It was such a gift to be able to teach students with autism Reiki. Yeah, because I sort of let them take control of the class too, because they are very psychic, those guys, and very spiritually connected. And I often found that those guys are very full of unconditional love as well. Yeah, even all of, most of them are. Mm-hmm. Just that you can't get through. Sometimes they have a protective shell. Do you know what I mean? Because what I found is that because often they're out of the body and they are in the mental body, they're not grounded in here. And being able to ground them into the body and connect with them really helps as well.
What other things do you find that people misunderstand about autism?
Their
Yeah,
behavior.
do they focus too much on the behavior?
They're having meltdown. Yeah, the meltdowns, because it isn't, when having had 25 years experience working with them, it's like, it isn't, every behavior is a ways of like wanting to express a need or a want. And, it's like, there's a reason why they're behaving out and acting out. And either they're hungry, they're tired, they're annoyed, they're frustrated. And because those guys have a really hard time recognizing emotions, especially like anger, frustration, upset, they can't differentiate between things like that. So they need that, like, being able to use mindfulness and self-regulation techniques to sort of connect with those emotions. It's like, okay, how are you feeling now? And being able to recognize, I'm feeling mad or angry and wanting to throw things. So you're feeling frustrated. So there are a lot of those guys, the only reason they're having the meltdowns is because they haven't got the language to express the feeling.
Yeah, which is frustrating for them. It must be, right?
It is, right? Yeah. And I've used worked with language people too, and we've had to use what was it with the cards we were using. I worked with deaf students as well, and sometimes you'd have to have like visual cues as well, and just like I worked with severely severe violent behaviors with that too, and just like, and it all boils down to like not being able to express their need at that time, and just losing it and not being able to have a safe way of like exploring their being. Like sometimes I'd have to find like a little tent for them, and so they can sit there and just feel their feelings, right?
And feel safe.
Exactly what it is. Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest parts is they just don't feel safe in that moment. And they're afraid. They're trying to figure things out. And there's people reacting around them and they don't know what to do with that reaction. All of those things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly what it is. Exactly. And because they're also very sensitive to energy, they're acting out on it, right? They're picking up on like, oh, he's feeling frustrated or nervous, or she's feeling anxious. And, it's like I have conversations like that with the students, like, why are you acting this way with the teacher? Why are you throwing tables at the teacher? Right. And they'd say to me, well, she's angry. She's been, and I said, well, she isn't angry at you, but he was picking up on her anger and acting out on it, right? He was throwing a table at the teacher, and it was just like,
Wow.
Yeah, it was the most severe violent behaviors, Wow. So we just like, being able to, because those guys are very sensitive, right?
Yeah. I think that this helps to understand more. And that's why I'm glad the book's out there, Cress, is that we have this as a resource for us, again, as parents and teachers, right? Any tips we talked to parents here, but for teachers, you have these students in your class, and we want to do our best as teachers to pour into their lives, but maybe we don't have the skills to understand how to be efficient and effective in our classroom. Will this book help us as well for as teachers then?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it's a resource of like being able to look at a different perspective. I think that's what it is too, that it gives you a different perspective on students with autism, and like coming from the spiritual perspective and not just an academic one. Because, sometimes the academic is great, but it's not all inclusive. It doesn't work on the emotional skills. It doesn't work on the other aspects, social skills. And, it's like we need to involve everything. It's not just a black and white academic thing. Yeah,
we spend so much time as teachers learning how to teach math or science, but then we have human beings in front of us. We need to know how to teach humans, right?
Exactly.
I love it, Chris. So for your book and everything, I'll have links to Amazon and all the links to go buy the book. But as well, Cress, where do people reach out to talk to you directly? Is there a best way to reach you?
On my website's good, and then my email is cress08@gmail.com.
Okay. So people can reach out if they have questions or they want to maybe invite you to come and speak to their community about this and about your book.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a parents group or a teachers group looking for a guest speaker. Okay.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
Excellent. So you can come in and give us some help and wisdom along with the book as well.
Yes.
I love it. I love it, Cress. This is great. I'm glad you're here. Again, as an uncle with a niece who has autism, I always like learning from people who are in the space, helping parents and teachers. I'm so glad that you've written this book as a resource for us. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for all the work you do for our kids. It's we need more Cress in the world. We need more of you is what we need. So again, your smile and your happiness and your joy is very contagious. And I'm really glad that you were able to come on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Any last parting words for us, Cress, before we let you go? What do we need to know?
I'm just really grateful to be on your podcast and being able to share some words with everyone. And I'm just so grateful to be able to be of service to all those students and families. And
Excellent. Awesome. That's great. Everyone, all the information for Cress is in the show notes as always.
Thank you.
Please go and buy a great book from a great author out there supporting our families and our children. Cress, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for checking out the latest episode of Living the Next Chapter. I'm so happy to bring on these amazing authors and to share their stories, but I do have to confess I have a problem. And people who know me best would say, Dave, you have more than one problem. My problem is I have more episodes than I can release to you through my audio host, but I have a solution for you. Oh, yes. Head over to our YouTube channel. Subscribe today to our YouTube channel, and you can get the most recent episode. I'm posting this episode today that I recorded today, and you can get it now on YouTube. Jump the line, move right past that big burly guy at the door. You can get right in and get the most recent episode of Living the Next Chapter on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go there. livingthenextchapter.com has all the information. And again, I want to thank you for making this podcast such a great joy to create. Catch you on the next one.